I didn't know that I had lost my way. Thought everything was gonna be okay, but life was empty. I filled it up and carried on. The pain kept coming, I was going down. I held so tight, kept falling to the ground. I knew I had to change, I knew I had to let it go. And now I've found a better way to wash the ego pain away. And then I found the words to say, I am divine, I am divine. It's always been there, it will never go away. I am divine. I feel so free, remember every day. The moment all the pain was washed away. I shine so bright now, and I want everyone to know. You've got this living deep inside you too, and it's so easy just to feel brand new. Commit surrender to your divinity within. And then you'll see a better way. Things you don't need will fall away. Your eyes will open and you'll say, I am divine, I am divine. It's always been there, it will never go away. I am divine. Oh, I am divine, I am divine. It's always been there, it will never go away. I am divine. It's always been there, it will never go away. I am divine.
What were those?
IAMDIVINITY from IAMDIVINITY Studios.
Buenas noches.
Maayan hapon, or I think that's good afternoon, or grand rising, which is Maayan buntag. So for all of you guys that are coming out to the Philippines, remember these.
Feels like the morning for me. We didn't sleep till 3 in the afternoon, so
We had an adventure last night.
got a big nap in.
That's good. You look rested, sir.
I feel very rested.
Yeah, so Jamie and I, and our videographer / driver, Joelle, and then Nina, Jamie's fiance, soon to be wife, went on a little road trip last night, right after the stream. So we're here in Davao City, Philippines, and we ended up heading over to General Santos City, which is like 2.5 hours away. And yeah, there's literally an example of like how miracles are constantly happening. And I'll let Jamie kind of explain to you a little bit about what happened. So when was the last time you came back into the Philippines?
Oh, right, the visa. Yeah, so we did a visa run down to General Santos after the stream yesterday. It's, 3-hour drive. And we got back in the Philippines in November. Came in the Philippines a minimum 10 times. And every single time, they give you 1 month so that you have some time to go and extend it if you want to stay longer than a month. And so I've done that every time. But when Sam came, it was January, and I still hadn't done my visa. And there was just this knowing that I was like, it doesn't really matter. Like, maybe I'll pay a late fine or something. It's all good. So we ended. Sam's visa was just up a week ago, so we went down to do it, and I brought mine. And then next thing you know, I look at my visa stamp, and they gave me 1 year.
Which they literally only can give you like 30 days. Maximum's like 60.
No, and like at the airport, 100% of the time, 30 days is all you get. So then I said, Sam, like, well, I at least got a good excuse for the reason I'm late. Yeah, it's like I thought it was a year. And so I give it to the immigration guy. I say, can you just check? Because like it says a year, but I'm not sure. He's like, oh, yeah, you got a year. And we're like, really? Like, how? So apparently I got a year.
Yeah, I had been asking him for like the last couple weeks. I'm like, you sure, bro? We need to get this visa thing situated. He's like, yeah, don't even worry about it. And then like we get to General Santos City. He opens up his passport and he's like, whoa, it says November 2024. I'm like, what in the world? That's like unheard of. So he didn't get a late fee, but I did. All good though. It was a really cool experience. You know, it's like normally before this process, which a lot of you, I'm not sure, we probably have some new people on here. You'll get to hear a little bit about this process and hear a lot of testimonials from other people, and then you'll get to hear from the master himself tonight. So I hope you guys are excited. But before, I probably would have got a little bit annoyed. I'm like, yo, like I could have avoided this, blah 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 blah. But at the end of the day, like everything is a lesson, and also just it's all divine. You know, it's like just to be able to see that miracle, quote unquote, that Jamie experienced, literally getting a whole year when he was supposed to only get 30 days. That's pretty crazy. So
yeah, nowhere in the code of immigration will you find that a foreigner can get a year. Just so you know.
Yeah, and then it's like if and that's at the airport, right? So like 30 days is the max. Like, and if you wanted to go to the immigration office, you would be able to get like 6 months, but that's like for something completely different. I think it's for like if I'm not mistaken, like tourism or something. Like you could apply for it. So it's just interesting, like all of these little miracles and synchronicities. I mean, these happen on the daily. You know what I mean? Like after doing the process, it's like we're not even really surprised. It's like living a whole different reality than most people, and you're speaking a whole different language than most people. And interestingly enough, Will and I, our CEO behind the scenes right now, that's making all this magic happen with his team, we got on a call with some of our guys that are helping us with the website development and the smart contracts and all that. And I'm like, dude, I need to bring someone else in because like they're speaking a whole different language. Like, I asked my guy David that helped us with the website. I'm like, dude, can you like translate? Like, because like it sounds like an alien language when they're speaking like this computer language. And that's literally how it is whenever you're operating from this level of consciousness. A lot of the people can't hear you, but once you start to tap into this, you're like, oh, I see what they're saying. You know, like there's, like for example, like Nua, he before the process and like after the process, he completely understands what we meant. And then like guys like Gilbert or like LK or Tiffany or Janet or any of these people, like they now are like, okay, I see they're speaking like a whole different language. It's not one of force. It's one of really operating from this power that we all have within us. And so, yeah, really interesting how it's just normal life.
Well, right before the stream here, I was listening to Neville Goddard. I don't know when he passed, but the specific audio clip was from the 70s. And it was titled, God and I Are One. And it was interesting how he was referencing a lot of scripture from the Bible, but he was interpreting it and presenting it in a way that the scripture was saying that we are that God energy. And so he had this whole 45-minute clip. Maybe Will could find that on YouTube and post it, because it was pretty enlightening, to say the least. But that's just an example of someone reading something like a scripture at level 100 consciousness compared to perhaps where it was written closer to 1,000 is going to get a completely different interpretation and translation to that language.
Such a good point. Yeah, it's like the lens that you're perceiving it through is you're gonna understand it so much different, and you're gonna perceive the world so much differently. You know, we're all looking at the same things, but the way that we perceive them is completely different. And so
He found it.
he already found it. Dude, shout out to Will.
Show me.
Yeah, so we'll play a little bit of this, and then we'll post it in the group for you guys to listen to.
It's too long to play. I'd have to clip it out, but they
Oh, okay, never mind. So just look out for that in the group. You'll be able to access that. But it's interesting because like all of the scriptures and stuff like that are really talking about the same thing. We just have misinterpreted them, and people, aka the ego, has used them to control other people and to keep them dimmed down and to keep them from accessing the light. I grew up Muslim. I knew it was like, oh, this guy is an ex-Muslim. It's funny because like if any of my Muslim followers or friends, I'd probably be crucified at this point. But I feel like
used to be a Muslim. Yeah.
Used to be.
Good luck telling your parents that one.
Right? But it's funny because I was Muslim, but I was smoking all the weed, drinking alcohol, never praying. I mean, if I was praying, I definitely wasn't doing it the right way because it didn't help me. But
that's something Neville was touching on in the audio clip, the correct way to pray compared to what we've been taught is to pray to an external God. So, it's we were joking yesterday about how if there was a really great business model, like just imagine if here at IAMDIVINITY we said, okay, you guys got to give us 10% of everything that you ever make, and if you leave our community, then you're gonna go to eternal hell for the rest of your life.
We were talking about like the retention rate would be pretty great.
Yeah, the retention would be really high. Not only are you gonna die if you leave us, you're gonna die eternally, forever, burning in the endless pit of fire.
Luckily, we don't have to operate from that level of consciousness. You guys are here by your own accord.
But if you send your 10%, then heavenly rewards for you.
So, who do we have on the call? Oh man!
Hopefully, Pastor's not on the call. He might be upset about that one.
I'm sure he's putting that program out.
If you're new and we haven't scared you away yet, welcome.
We have a lot of fun here, so welcome to all of you beautiful people tonight.
Who do we got here?
Oh man,
we got some returning returning members. Amy Ting, nice to see you. Gilbert, as always, I sense you have something to share. Cola, Nua, awesome, great to see you guys. Paul.
Yeah, let's open up the chat. We want to hear some of you guys' updates. We love hearing that. We love hearing all of the cool updates. Whatever it is, whether you think it's big or small, whether you think it's significant or whatever, it's important. We want to hear you guys' voice.
Gilbert says, "I'm here to listen today." Actually, so that is an update.
Oh wow,
that is an update, awesome. Gilbert.
That's amazing.
We'll allow you 2 minutes to do your divine focus. See how you feel after that. How about sharing? Just teasing you. Well, let's see who we got. Cola? How you doing, Cola?
Can we get a close up on Jamie's nails? He's looking fabulous.
Well, my brother was using the fact that Don had his nails painted to not do the process. So I figured, well, I better paint mine too, just to make sure. Just to make sure we scare everyone away that's on the fence. Because you can't be lukewarm in this program. I guess it's like the toughest place to be. You're either hot all in or you're cold and you block us, never want to talk to us again. Either way, we're cool.
Yeah, all good. I mean, you losing basically all your family. I don't think you're really worried at this point.
Yeah, Mom's on the lukewarm program, so we'll see how that pans out. But the brothers are definitely in the freezing cold.
So, what's up, guys? How y'all feeling? How's your divine focus going? Any updates? Don't play small. We know you guys are out there.
Good morning, guys. Can you hear me?
Hi, is that
Loud and
Shannon?
clear.
Yes, it's Shannon.
Great to see you, Shannon.
Yeah, thank you for doing this. I just wanted, I know I haven't been sharing. There's been a lot going on of amazing things. There is a echo. Are you guys hearing that?
Hey, gentlemen, can you...
Is that good? Can you hear me? Perfect. Way better. So I came in on day like 15, and my husband was like, hey, do you remember Jamie? And I was like, oh boy. I was like, yes. And he's like, I think this is something that you'd be interested in. To be part of this. And I was like, to an RTF that you did. And I was during Bible college, and it's basically bringing you back to the foundation of like birth on, and just kind of like, it almost wiped memories away, and getting in your light and being who you truly were designed to be. And that went really well for a long time. And then you get into your habits, your ego, right? And so I started listening to you guys. And I did, he played the recording where Don has you walk through the process. And I remember him saying to go, if you have to go back to the womb. And I'm just like, oh, I didn't do that last time. And there were things like when my mom got pregnant, she was 16, and her grandpa wanted her to abort me, and just all those things, right? And so I didn't think anything of it. But I went back to that all the way to the womb, and Tim and I were doing it together, and my whole body was starting, to tingle, and I was like, oh my gosh, I was just set free. I all of a sudden just felt so light and so free. I couldn't stop smiling. And my eyes, when Don says, you got to keep your eyes closed until I tell you to open them, they were like glued shut. Like I couldn't even open them. And I'm just smiling and so excited. And I'm like, wow, this is really cool. And the other thing that I knew, like, Don's process was legit, and you guys were on point with stuff, was when I did my RTF, they told me that you'll be yawning, you'll feel tired, you'll probably start burping. And I was like, burping, like, I don't belch, like, and that's exactly what started happening as all that stuff is being released and you're letting that go. And so we get done and I look at Tim and he's, got tears and I'm just smiling away. And he's like, I am so happy for you. He goes, I got to talk to Donn because there is something wrong. Like, I cannot get to this. He's like, I'm so jealous right now of you. And it has been so amazing. I could go on and on for hours, you guys, of just the different things that have happened. I lost my light for a long time and just feeding into that negativity. We have 4 children, 2 adults, and our girls just turned 16 in November, and they have some disabilities. And it has been a very long, heartbreaking process, just learning them and the right resources, right? And I truly believe that whatever label you get from a doctor or people that say that or spew words on you, that you're not defined by that, right? And so I always tell everybody, you're not defined by whatever that person just said to you. Girls, you're not defined by all of these just because the doctor said that. And we just really pray over them and encourage them. But there was some hard stuff. And the other day, there was somebody that commented, what do you do when your kids throw tantrums, right? How do you stay in that? And I'm like, well, you just do. Like, you just do it. Their ego, right? And their wants, and you got to walk away. You take deep breaths. Now, am I perfect on that? No. But my 16-year-olds throw fits. They put holes in the walls. They break things. So as I was listening to this, I was like, I really need to start sharing because a lot of the things that people are saying, we've gone through. And we're probably, we're young, forever young, yes, but we have experiences. And so I just want to encourage, if there's somebody on this call that trying to stay in your divinity when you're dealing with tough situations, that it is possible. Because now our girls at first are like, what are you listening to this garbage for? I think Tim said one day, oh, there's kids' ears here or something like that. They were homesick. And we had it on so that they could listen to you guys and what we were doing. And they're like trying to use that against us. Well, it's actually worked really well in our favor because they don't get to set the tone of the home anymore. And we are laughing now when they're being ridiculous, saying things, and we'll walk away, we'll go into our room, do our divinity if we need to, whatever it is, like we just do that. And yesterday, a miracle happened. I had to pick them up early from school for their therapy appointment. And Faith comes out, and my girls' names are Faith and Grace, and that wasn't by accident either. And so she's throwing a fit about going to therapy. I told you I don't like her. There is no need for it. I don't need help. I know I got it figured out, all these things, right? And I'm like, okay. And I'm doing my fingers as I'm trying to drive, and just really getting into my focus so I don't feed into that. And Grace says to her, your ego is really big right now, and you should really get in check with that. And I thought, she's listening. She's been home for a week listening to you guys and all these stories. I'm like, oh yes, this is a win. I love it. So we get to the therapy, and I meet with their therapist, and they're like, hey, Shannon, how's it going? And I'm like, great. And they're like, what? They're like, great. And I was like, well, I'm great. I said, yes, we've got lots of wins and we've got some things that we still need to work on, but I said I'm feeling really good. And so the girls go in, and like 45, 50 minutes later, Faith comes out and she's swearing at me about making her, in front of everybody, making her go to therapy, and how she effing hates me now. And she's just, going on in this little tantrum. And I'm just sitting there smiling. And the therapist is looking at me like, are you not going to say anything? And she goes, Shannon, can I talk to you for 2 minutes? I said, absolutely. And I go back into the room, and I'm doing, as she's talking, I'm seriously, you guys, I have my fingers intertwined and I am focusing on this, and I'm smiling. And I just looked at her. I said, I am sorry for the things that she said to you. And I know this isn't easy, and this has been rough. And I said, I have faith that each time is going to get better. And she goes, well, she doesn't want to come here anymore. How are you going to get her here? And I said, I'm not worried. She's going to be getting into the car. And you guys, she was so mad. And it lasted for like a mile. And I'm smiling, and I'm in my divinity, and I'm not feeding into that like I normally would, and be frustrated and so mad. Like, what did we do to deserve this, right? And we get to Sam's Club, and she instantly changed. She was so happy. Grace was happy. Grace actually said a couple things that she heard from you guys, and just being happy and grateful. Him to warn him, hey, like, I'm warning you before we get home, be prepared. Like, we have to be on top of our game, our divinity. Like, and you guys, there was a peace and no issues, and just free and light, and no arguments. I told them, you can't do, whatever TV, because that is one of the biggest things. And I've heard a few of you guys talk about, the scary movies. Well, the one likes to try to push that button on me, and I don't allow it. And I'm like, nope. We started taking apps off the phone, or the TV, so they couldn't watch, certain things. And I said, you're not watching a scary movie. And she's like, oh, I know. I was just seeing if you were paying attention. So we're being tested. But I just want to encourage you guys, like, truly, I believe that there are a lot of scriptures, and you're right, a lot of people do twist that. And we do have that authority and that power. And I just want to thank you guys, because you are changing lives, and we all are. But I could go on and on forever on all the finding myself back, right? And just having that joy again, and not letting all these circumstances have control anymore.
Wow, Shannon. Congratulations, and thank you so much for sharing. Powerful.
Yes. Sorry, it was so long.
No, don't be.
Don't be sorry. Yeah, that was
We'll give you double
absolutely
time
amazing.
next time.
Yeah, like it's great to hear other people in the community sharing, and it's just like, wow, this divinity even works against teenage temper tantrums. Like,
Wow, if I was to absorb this when I was a teenager, man, that would have saved a good 20 years of intense pain.
yeah, right. Wow, like
What
how
a gift.
how amazing. Like that really is a miracle. It's just the fact that you held your light. She was able to shift without her even knowing. Like that's just
Mhm.
speaks volumes.
Yeah, we're so influential in this state. And yeah, what a gift to give your children. That's absolutely amazing.
Keep on shining bright,
Yeah.
Shannon. We see you.
Mhm.
I love your pink hoodie, by the way.
Yes, thank you. And you want to know what's funny about that is since I was young and I would get teased from family, all of my clothes were always the pinks and the purples. And they're like, why do you always wear these bright colors? And now I know.
Welcome home, Shannon.
Thank
Oh,
you.
it's Tim.
Hey, Tim, great to see you, bud.
I'm wearing pink too.
I'm wearing pink too.
You want to hear my funny story? I got a funny story too.
Yes, please go, Tim.
Mine's real quick. So I really battle with. I feel like ego is like a negative relationship, and the I am divinity is your positive relationship, right? And so I am is always seeking this relationship, right? And when you drift away from a relationship, you don't feel that connection. And dropped off, or I was running around errands yesterday, and put gas in the car, washed the car. She had a full tank of gas, and a clean car gets dirty, brushing against it and stuff. And so I'm cruising in my nice clean car on the road, feeling good, and after vacuuming it out, I look down and there's a piece of gum left in the cup holder. And it wasn't chewed up, but it was all nasty from dirt, fell out of the wrapper. And I'm like, oh, gross. I'm going to throw that out. And then I go, no, you're only like 3 blocks from home. Just wait. You're fine. Nope. Ego telling me, right? Roll down the window just a little bit, slide the piece out, and it lands on the sill, right? So I'm sitting here looking at it as I'm driving. I go, don't roll the window down. It's going to get all smeared up. Nope. Ego. Drop the window down. Gum falls in. Right? I'm like, what are you doing? You got to chill out. And so I'm like, okay, pull it together, Tim. Just reel it in. Turn on the radio. Calm down. Listen to the music. No kidding. I turn on the radio, and the song that's playing is Never Gonna Give You Up. Never Gonna Let You Down. What, are you kidding me? Boop. Pull over. Like, you got to reel it in, buddy. So just for everybody out there, you're always going to get attacked. Like, you're always going to have something. You're always going to have something diving after you, trying to pull you down, chase you, pull you back in, reel you in, give you, never give you up. Just keep chasing. Because the more you chase that relationship of I am divinity, the closer you will get to it, even if it's just a little step at a time.
Are we unmuted? Tim, thank you. And just so you know, it's more like a light switch, so it's an instant. It's yes or no. You're in it or you're not. But, but I feel you. Awesome, guys! Thanks so much for sharing, and I love the pinks and your whole family shining bright. Amazing. Amazing that you're doing this together. Anyone else want to share? See Linda here. Okay. Oh, I see Amy with her hand up. Amy, yes. Can we unmute Amy, yes, please?
And then mute us.
And then mute us.
Hi, I've been kind of hiding out a little bit. You hear me? Unmute myself. Okay. You hear me now?
Yes.
Okay, well, I've been hiding out a little bit. I guess I feel uncomfortable sharing with social media. I'm able to share with people close to me, and I'm in different kinds of things where we talk about a lot of what you've been doing resonates with me, and I have been feeling calmer and more at peace. And yesterday I had a couple things come up. One was one of my beliefs about injustice, about how much injustice there is in the world and how I've had things that have been not fair and unjust to me. And one of those situations actually has been really knocking me down for the last several months. And it's something I don't have much control about. And yet it's an unjust situation. And I do have trouble just trusting that everything works out to our higher interest, etc. And yesterday also, and I just put it together now, that it's the same thing with injustice. Whenever Donn talks about going back to something from really early childhood, I never can think of anything from early childhood. I mostly come up with something that happened in early adolescence. But yesterday, while we were on the call, I was a little bit with Betty was on the call, and Betty and I know each other for years and do a lot of things together. But anyway, it came up to me that yes, my thing was at birth. That the doctor forced me to be born early because it was convenient to him. It was on a Saturday.
Wow.
He scheduled it. And so I really wasn't ready to be born. And so I just realized now, well, that's an injustice right there. Someone pushing you to be born before you were ready just for their convenience. And my mother was very young, and so I guess at that time the doctor is like God for that generation, whatever. So that's a few of the things that have come up for me lately.
Awesome, Amy. Thank you for sharing. Sounds like you're still in the middle of your process.
Yeah. Oh, I'm really resistant because intellectually I know a lot of this stuff, and I have done work in personal development and spiritually as well. But a part of my mind says too, with regards to David Hawkins, the 700 and above, when you have mentioned too, it affects 70 million people. So it's not like people just pop up to 700 in my intellect to just turn that switch. But yet, on the other hand, I do realize that it could be just the switch, that little missing link, they're just this switch.
Yes, and we all did the switch on ourselves in the against ourselves in the reverse. So for that moment when you said you're born, you did flip the switch, just not you did it against yourself, not for yourself. But it happened in a second. It happened in that one moment. And so I'm hearing that you're having difficulty accessing that or tracing the feeling compared to the memory, right? The thinking intellectual. I know that was my challenge, because what the intellect is doing is protecting you from that painful feeling, right? But we need to access that in order to release it, uncreate it, and then get into our ineffable feeling. And so I hear I hear your resistance, and maybe like me, the surrender wasn't the easiest thing. My intellect was very strong, so that was my biggest challenge. But I encourage you to go through the process again, and yeah, just surrender to it. I know the biggest thing that happened to me when I gave up my light after working with Donn was the before so even after the process, I was holding on to this phobia of my light, because for me, I got abused as a child when I was fully in my light, and so I learned very quickly to turn that off. So I had a phobia to my light, but when I went through Donn's process, it was a few months later that I had stopped doing the divine focus. I let go of the exercises that he asked us to do. Next thing you know, I'm fully back in my darkness. And it got so bad that I was literally binge drinking, like indirectly committing suicide. So for me, that was like, Jamie, it's not going into your light that's going to kill you. It's not going into your light that's going to kill you. And so then in that moment, I had a phobia of being in my darkness compared to being in my light. I flipped that switch.
I think it's kind of like wanting to quit smoking. when you decide you're going to quit, you smoke like crazy because you've made the decision to stop. So it's kind of too the resistance of stopping all this stuff that doesn't serve you because, yeah. But the Marianne Williamson quote, that's always resonated with me because it's true. I think we're afraid of how great we really are,
Yes, it's
how
the
perfect
infinite
and
power.
love. Yeah.
Yeah, and I mean that's who we are. You know, I shared this yesterday. Like even on a scientific level, if you look at the sperm and the egg when they meet, there's literally a light that is formed in the womb of the mother. So, like I said, it's not metaphorical, but literally you are that light. And so, just like Jamie, like myself, it sounds like for you as well. Like it happened, and you turn off your light so early on, and so you got that one piece now. I mean, it's now going back into the process and just surrendering.
And tracing the feeling, not the thought or the memory. That's the key. Because you can't do it intellectually. It wasn't created intellectually. That painful experience, wasn't created by your intellect. It was before the age of reason and logic. And you look at any phobia, and it's not logical, right? We were laughing the other day when we went whitewater rafting, and the rule number 1 in whitewater rafting, they told us maybe 20 times. Rule number 1: if you fall out of the boat, don't panic. And I'm laughing like, oh, yeah, see how that works out for anyone that's terrified of dying. And next thing you know, Sam's the first one to fall out with my fiance Nina at the same time, and Sam in that moment is just like freaking out, panicking, like, what do I do? Like you can't. The phobic response is so much faster than the intellect and the thought, and so that's when we created it. That's when we made that decision to turn off our light, and you need to retrace it neurologically, emotionally, because that's how it was created. And you reverse that, and then the intellect's just a tool at that point to use, but it's not controlling you.
Well, thank you so much.
Yeah, you're welcome. The last point on
I
that
noticed your nail polish yesterday.
and you're still here. Awesome.
Says a lot. Thank you for sharing.
Thank you.
Yeah, we're really happy to hear from some new people, so keep them coming. Oh, are you sharing this? Okay, so Will has something he wants to share on the screen, so just one moment.
This will satisfy the intellect. Research has shown that visible zinc sparks are released along with calcium levels at the time of fertilization. This fertilization releases a flash of light, and that's you. And according to the scientists, the size of the zinc spark determines the egg's ability to grow into a healthy. Okay, so yeah, just what Sam was saying. There's a flash of light when the little squiggly guy and the egg come together, and I wonder who the flash of light is. And just remember that the ego is, first of all, the ego has absolutely zero power. It only has the power you give it. So it was not the ego that took over control. It was you deciding, even at that ripe age of just being born, 3 years young, in the womb, you deciding that I'm gonna turn off my light. I'm gonna give this power up.
Yeah, and I would like to also hit on something that that you just spoke about. What was that? That was Anne that was just speaking, right? So
Amy.
Amy, I'm sorry. Amy, so there is nothing outside of your control. Every single thing that you're experiencing, you are creating, whether consciously or unconsciously. And the sooner you can actually realize that and actually take responsibility for that, the better. Because it's like, okay, you're not giving your power to anything outside of you, whether it's quote unquote negative or positive. Regardless, taking back your power, this, like, you are a creator. And so that's what we're helping people remember here at I Am Divinity, is to recall who you truly are, that divine spark within, going from the belief of I am worthy or I'm not worthy, right? To the knowing of I am worth, I am love worth. And so if you guys are excited, I would like for you to drop a 111 in the chat below. And if you are someone brand new and maybe you've been searching, maybe you've been looking for an answer, maybe you've been searching in books and personal development, and maybe you've been utilizing ayahuasca a lot more than you should have. But you've been searching, right? You've been looking for something. You've been wanting to find that one piece. What I want you to know is that your search is over.
Good evening, good afternoon, good morning. My name is Donn Smith. That's Donn with 2 N's. And I'm here to share with you what I've developed over 44 years that I call IAMDIVINITY. I say that IAMDIVINITY because I'm divine and so are you. No matter what you've done and what you haven't done, you are divine, you always were and you always will be. And it gets all covered up. And so all of those trips to the personal developments and all of those things, and they don't hold. And did you ever question yourself? Instead of just going back and getting the next one and the next one and the next one and none of them hold? Well, there's a reason for that. A very big reason is because you're working at a belief level of who you think you are. That's what beliefs are, both negative and positive. They're who we think we are. So going from a negative belief to a positive belief is not the answer whatsoever. It's about the knowing of who we truly are. There's knowing. It isn't a belief. And so all of these ideas of doing this and all of those trips to the wherevers, it's like dealing with a piece of something. But this is not a piece of anything. This is the total knowing of who you are. And what I've developed over this 44 years is a process that's instant and it's permanent. Now, the permanent comes in by you doing something for holding it. But I'm telling you, there's people have this for years, and it's instant. And how do I say that with such boldness? Well, put it in the category of a phobia. 90% of the population has a phobia of something. Bugs, snakes, rats, heights, water, whatever. And my question to you is, how long did it take for you to create that phobia? Yes, you're right. 1 instant. And yet everybody questions me about that. And yet that's all it took. 1 instant. So now, what I did was I reverse engineered near-death experiences and phobias to find out how they worked, and I reverse engineered it. So if you can create a phobia in a second, and most times it's before the age of reason, which is 4, 5, 6. Think about that. At that young of an age, that in 1 second you created a lifetime phobia. Well, it's a lifetime phobia because you're holding on to it for protection. That's how the ego works. It's going to get you to hold on to something that's harmful for you so it can keep you aware in case it happens again. That's how toxic your ego is. And it's not your ego, it's the ego. Sorry, my mistake. Because you are much more than an ego. And so what it's about is if you create it in a second, why would it take any longer than a second to reverse it if you knew how you did it? That's what I do. That's one of the pieces. And then the other is the permanentness of it all. Well, I'm going to ask you a question. What color are your eyes? What color are those eyes of yours? Now you tell me how long you had that color. Yeah, your whole life. That's permanent. Would you agree? But look at the permanentness of a phobia. You had it from age 4 to 84. That's 80 years. You'd think that was permanent. But it was created in a second, and you can reverse it in a second. So it's not. That's what I'm saying. So that's what we're talking about. Something that's instant, something that's permanent, and it's about who you truly are. Your divinity, your divine. Don't ever forget it. Always remember it. And all of these other things are happening because you have an attachment to the personal development system of beliefs and changing a belief from a negative to a positive. It's not going to hold. It will not hold. Yes, there will be improvements. Congratulations on doing that. That's searching. I'm talking about a shift from this to a shift from this. Who we're not to who we are. And then doing a simple exercise. Takes 5 minutes 3 times a day to hold it. And there you have it. That's it. That's who you are. That's why it's like the color of your eyes. The color of your eyes has been that way all this time, and you still have that color. Well, it's the same. Who you truly are is permanent. Who your beliefs are not, because it's not true. No matter how much you believe, the negative or the positive about those beliefs, they're false. And so, I'm here to share with you to go on a journey under 2 hours. Now I'm talking about, like I've worked with 15 different pro athletes or Olympians, okay? That's just in sports. And then mega billionaires, millionaires, and health, cancer. You know, one guy, I met him in the garbage room in Vancouver. I opened up the door and there he is. And he's so gray and he's humped over and he's like, you think he was going to die any second. I said, holy shit, man, you don't look too good. What's going on? He said, oh, I got prostate cancer. I've had it for 16 months. I've had 32 radiation treatments. And I don't know how much time I have. I said, don't listen to that bullshit. Can I ask you a few questions? Within that 15 minutes, I had asked him all these questions. And all I knew about him was his name was Al. 3 weeks later, I get a call from him. The same guy. He said, hi, Don, this is Al Valjanic. I met you in the garbage room 3 weeks ago. Yeah? Well, I don't have any cancer. Now, I could fill this room with those stories. Fill this room with those stories. And you can access this magnificent, powerful, divine energy called IAMDIVINITY. And what's natural about it, it matches who you truly are. That's the key. Isn't that exciting? Isn't that exciting that you will know who you are and it will override and supersede who you think you are? Now, if you're tied up with that persona that you've developed, in a second, I might add, and kept it all this time, like I just worked with a guy that when he was 9, his mom died, and he decided to harden his heart. And he hardened his heart for the next 40 years. And that's what all his issues were about. We went back, cleaned that up, boom, it's gone. All the symptoms were all gone. That's how easy it is, and that's how simple this is. So if you want to continue with your hard work and all of those kind of things, and going back and paying for this again, that again, and this again, and the counseling and the therapy and coaching and all of that, go ahead, by all means. But if you want to be free, free to be you, free to be who you truly are, and those eyes, every time you look in the mirror, it will remind you how magnificent you are. And that's how this process is about, whether it's in an individual or whether it's in group. And I welcome you to join us in this journey of raising humanity's consciousness from its existing 210 to 700. That's right, you heard it right. 210 to 700. So it's an awesome journey. We're looking for 100 that are willing to go to 700 to raise humanity's consciousness. So I welcome you, and I'll see you on our journey.
That was an awesome video, and
The guy looks familiar.
yeah, he looks very familiar, but actually kind of unfamiliar. Every time I see him, he looks at least 10 years younger. I'm like, what the heck is this guy doing?
He literally does. We called him when we were at the immigration, and the first thing when he popped up on the video call, I'm like, Sam, Look how freaking young Don looks. What the hell, man?
He looks younger than us. I'm like, what the heck is going on, dude? I need some of that Korean skincare.
And Don tells me, you haven't been doing your homework.
So yeah, you're probably like watching that video. You're like, what the heck are these guys talking about? You know, like the positive beliefs, negative beliefs. And I was
Both
thinking about
toxic.
this today, like, and I think Tim, or I forgot who just mentioned it, but you know, like at first, I think it was like 18 years old. I developed an alcohol addiction where I was drinking beer, literally breakfast, lunch, and dinner, and then liquor at night. And then I shifted my addiction from that to like building businesses and personal development, and they're really one and the same. And so we're not talking about shifting from negative to positive beliefs. We're talking about a complete knowing of who you truly are. And yeah, so there's really nothing called growth because you are infinite. And so it's just tapping back into that
Yeah,
state.
there's no more or better. Just you're on or you're not.
Either on or you're not. I mean, I literally was traveling Southeast Asia for the last like 8 months, and I bought like a shit ton of books. I literally haven't picked up a single book since I started this.
Or a joint.
Or a joint. Yes, it's been like at least now 2 months, so that's a huge accomplishment. And it wouldn't be possible for the legend himself, Mr. Donn Smith. He's developed this process that you're gonna get to hear from him, here momentarily over 44 years. Like he said in the video, he's worked with several multi-billionaires, and yes, billionaires have problems too, and in fact, probably more issues because, like Jamie says, is if you're a narcissist or if you are, addicted to smoking weed or alcohol, having billions of dollars, trust me, is just gonna amplify it. Or he's worked with people that were superstars in sports at an Olympic level in 15 different sports, or people that had cancer, able to uncreate it. All of these crazy stories. So Don has mastered this process, and the way that he likes to put it, it's like a 10,000 piece puzzle, and he's basically found that one piece and put it all together, so you don't have to spend the next 5 lifetimes trying to figure that out. So with that being said, I would love to introduce you guys to the legend himself, Mr. Donn Smith.
Don's in the house.
Good afternoon, good evening, good morning, good night.
2 mics.
Okay, I got it. Well, as I was listening to you guys talking. Oh,
Will that work?
turn the mic on.
Can you use all three?
I think we're good.
Go.
We're
Try
good.
now.
Good to go? Okay.
Yep, you're good.
Okay, perfect. Well, just from what the topic has, it's never a topic beforehand.
Look at these suits, by the way. Look at this floss. Look at this. Who does this attire? Wow.
None of it planned. We're talking about finding this boom, and where is it? And so I'm going to give you a real life story. My mom had 10 children. 10. 6 girls, 4 boys. I'm in the middle. The very first one, Rita Mary, sorry. She died at age 4 months. I took my mom through the process, 20 years ago. And here it was. Every single time she was pregnant with the other 9, her words were, "Oh my God, this one's going to die too." Now you tell me if you could avoid that in the womb, at finding out at 2 months or 3 months or whatever time, you know, that many years ago you know when you were pregnant. Now that's what I'm talking about. You know, so imagine that happening and getting the message, "I'm going to die too." Okay? We're not talking about being in our light anymore. We're talking about when I'm going to die. That's just, and those are those hidden ones. You know, like Noah at 9. 9. You had 400 before then. Okay? Like it just doesn't happen that way. You can't get to 9 unscathed. It's impossible. Okay? You either, you know, you're giving too much attention or not enough attention or whatever's. Okay? You trip and fall and skin your knee, or the dog bites you. It's there. And then they just get repeated over and over and over again. And that's what's going on. And it's neurological. I need to say that again. It's important to know that it's neurological, not intellectual. Tracing this intellectually and trying to change it intellectually and trying to input a positive belief on top of a negative belief, good luck. I did that. I did that. Yes, 44 years. I've been, you know, figuring this out and that, and, you know, I'd get something and it wouldn't hold, and on and on and on. And so there's to me, there's a science to this. And the science starts when we are, you know, conceived. That's where I understand this to be the beginning. And just to give me an idea, I'm down in Israel with my wife, and there's a lady in the neighborhood. Like there's I'd say about 8 different families in the space of the size of this room here. And there was this lady, and she was as big as a house. Like, oh my God, she is like 15 months pregnant. It looked like it just looked. She was that big. And she was sitting close to me, about like where Jamie is. And I said, you must be near going to have a baby here, lady. And she said, yeah, she said, it's in a week, if the baby's not born, they're doing a cesarean. I just reached over, put my hand on her tummy, and started talking to the baby, telling her it was safe to come out, and it was all okay, that everything was taken care of. She was born the next morning. Okay? Now, do you think she heard that? You darn right she did. All these messages about the, you know, the fights and the arguments and all of those kind of things. And so we get a chance using this process to get... Shut the fuck up. We get a chance to rewrite our history. We get a chance to rewrite this that we didn't know was there. Okay, no matter what it was from, no matter what happened, all of those things. we get a chance to rewrite it all from scratch, from the very first one. From the very first one. That's how we do it. You know, mine was in the womb, way in the womb. You know, I don't, like, you tell me, ladies, when you know you're pregnant. Okay? Some of you don't need to go get an ultrasound. You damn well know that, okay, it happened last night. Okay? It's like, yeah, I'm pregnant. I know, just know I'm pregnant. Okay, you don't need machinery, you don't need doctors, you don't need that kind of, it's like, listen. Just listen to those signals. And those kind of things happen. And we get these messages from our ego parents. Imagine an ego parent, a male, and an ego parent, female, arguing and fighting over who's this and that and whatever. Or we go the other way, and everything is so beautiful, got to keep this so meticulously fine for our daughter so she never gets hurt, and now we're into protection. And like good luck on your ego on doing this the way that it's been done for eons. And once again, we get a chance to rewrite it. And there's all these ways that we intuitively know things. We intuitively know things. Now, so I'm driving up, it's like a 3.5 hour drive from where I was today. And there's a young lady, actually I'm sponsoring her in her education, and she's 21. And she was, just give me a sec, I just lost my train of thought here for a sec. Oh yes, she has had these physical symptoms. And I said, oh, what kind of symptoms? I am MS. At 21, you have MS. Yeah. Did you know that you created that? What? Don't talk so foolish. Hey, listen. By you knowing you created it, then you can figure out how to uncreate it. Now, if it just was this misty thing that happened and the doctor said this is it and you're powerless and helpless over it, well, that's not how this is done. I'm telling you, we create all our illnesses and diseases, every one of them. And don't try to tell me this one doesn't fit. Okay? Because they do. And there's a history to that. Now, whether it's in the womb or whether it's not. But to give you an idea of how unconscious we are, I said, if you're interested, I could help you figure that out. There's a way to find out what this is about. She never talked to me for the next 2 days. Then this morning, she wanted to ride part way. Now, it was quite a ways, and I said, okay. She was sitting in the back seat, and and she said, yeah, could you tell me a little more about what it is you do? I said, well, I got to give you a little bit of information to help you understand. And I knew her system. She was into religion. She was into religion, like big time. Okay? Whether it's religion or spirituality or whatever those are, there are twisted, toxic messages in those programs in many, many times. And I said, well, I got to give you some information. So I said, I'll start with a story. Because metaphors, that's why I use metaphors. That's why I use metaphors. Bypass the intellect. Bypass the intellect with the metaphors. Okay, like the statue of David and Leonardo da Vinci. You know, chipping away all the marble that wasn't David. But coming back to this one, and it was like just give me a second. It's not flowing the way it usually is. Oh, yes. I said, listen, I'm just going to tell you a story about a lady. So here's this lady. She's in incredible pain. She has her pain for 20 years on her chest. Extreme pain. Because I said to her, the lady, I said, you know, you got this religious thing, and it's going to block you. We might as well you might as well block me at the start. I'm not interested in wasting my time. So I said, I'm going to tell you this story. So I was telling her about this lady that had this incredible, extreme pain in her chest, gone to the doctors, nothing worked, headed for years, 20 years, and she started chasing me like she heard about me and she wanted me to work with her. I said, yeah, no, not doing this. And it just kept on and on and on. Finally, I said, okay, I'll do it. I'll do it. So I met her at her place, and I took her through the process. The next day, all the pain was gone. And she called me. She said, praise Jesus, praise Jesus, praise Jesus. I said, okay, tell me, what are you praising Jesus for? Oh, well, Jesus took away all my pain. Now, I'm saying this because of how much power you give to God or Jesus or Buddha or Muhammad or whoever's. Okay? We need to know how powerful we are. And when we do that, we give our power away. And we don't have that power to do what we need to do. Anyway, unbeknownst to her, she used her power to undo it. And it was gone. And so I just said, like I told you, it's like, so she said, told me this, and then I said, well, if Jesus was the one that took your pain away, why did he wait 20 years? Like, I'm curious. Why did he wait 20 years? You get out of here, you heathen, you bastard. Get away from me. So it's like these kind of things, like the catch-22s and trying to get people to look at their programs and patterns. And whether it's the God pattern or whether it's the education pattern or whether it's the spiritual programs and whatever, and they got all these reasons and excuses and why that, and it's like we have this power. We did this. We were given that gift of free will to do this. Okay? And all we have to do, there's a big light here. I don't know if you can see it. But those things can get that big. That big light, only it's not a light, it's dark. And it's the darkness of the toxicity of the program we have running that never stops. And I'm going to tell you, there's no doctor that I know of that can trace that and find out what that is and what it's about. That's not what they're looking for. That's scientific. Yes, there's awesome doctors. Yes. I'm telling you, it's different. You know, and I'll give you an example. I was working with a guy. He was 43, I think, and he had cancer, like big time cancer. I forget the numbers. All I know is that they couldn't get the colonoscopy through his intestines to find out how big it was. But they did measure it, and it was something like 8.3. I took him through the process. 3 days later, the doctors tested him again, and it was at 2.1. 2.1. You know what they did? They doubled the dose of the medication they were giving him. Okay? But that's not the one I'm talking about. I'm talking about they had 2 children, 10 years of age and 5. And the 5-year young child had a disease I never heard tell of. It was Rubinstein-Tabby syndrome. He could only sit for 30 seconds, minute, stretching it a minute and a half. Okay? He could only say 5 words. I never did anything with him other than he sat and watched me work with his dad, with his mom. He sat there for 2.5 hours, never budged, and when I came that day, he had a big smile on his face and quoted the complete alphabet. And I never did a thing with him. Just picking up the energy. Now that's how powerful we are. To either destroy ourselves or to brighten that light. Imagine that light. Can somebody put a camera on that light?
You put a camera on the light.
Joel? Show them the light. The light.
The light.
That light. You got it?
Yeah.
Okay? That's a taste of the size of your light. And you got it the size of a mosquito bite.
That's good.
Okay? And we meant to be in this. And it's a way bigger than that. And that's who we are. That's who every one of these 8 billion are. We've got it all covered up with these limiting beliefs and positive beliefs. The negative ones, I'm not good enough, and the positive ones, look at me, I'm the best there is. Instead of us just being this natural, beautiful, divine being that we all are. And we can't lose it. It just gets covered up. That's why it's not beliefs. Okay? And so, we are meant to smile. We are meant to sing a song that no one's ever heard. We are meant to create programs such as this. Yeah, that's what we came for. We came for something very positive. Yes, the things that we probably did in the past life, for those of you that may not believe that, but we get all of this negativity that we're dragging with us, and we get a chance to, the second time around, to clean it up. And, Yeah, and so that's playing out. That's playing out as we're, you know, these bumps in the road are us creating these to get them undone. To get them undone. And we are very powerful. And every one of us. And every one of us can create the, you know, like the Elon Musk, it's like absolutely amazing, gigantic things. And so, anyway, you know, I was at a function yesterday and the day before, the night before. And there's pictures of 20 kids around me. And I'd move somewhere and there would be 10 more. And what was that? How come out of 500 people that was happening? That they were around me? Well, I'll tell you, the kids can see the light. The kids can see the light. And I forget if it's Tim and Shannon that was talking, and you know, the kids, the teenage kids, playing out those games, and trying to intimidate and whatever from what they learned. And those can be cleaned up. And the way you, Tim, and Shannon are doing that is amazing, not giving in to the ego energy, not giving in to that. That's how powerful we are, and they're using their power in a negative way. And hey, that's how we change this. So it's very exciting where we're going. Very exciting. I'm not in on all of these what are they called? Podcasts, that's the word, yeah. Live streams, okay, live streams. So,
by the way, if you have any questions for Donn, just unmute yourself. You can come on and ask, or throw them in the chat. We'll call on them later.
and so yep. It's very exciting to hear how this is spreading. You know, even like Tim and Shannon working with their kids. And I caution you on that when you're doing your transformation, that first, you know, after the honeymoon of the 7 to 10 days, and being cautious and aware of the ego coming in like in a thunderstorm, trying to get back in control. And coming back to the lady that came with me this morning. So here she is. She's coming and she wants to go to Cotabato rather than just Tucaron. And I'm just learning these names. And she wanted me to, wondering if I could take a little detour to get all the way. Yeah, no problem. Okay. So then we started talking about her relationship with the God thing, and I told her the story about the lady with the pain in her chest, and we got to the first town. She's going to now take a bus, and when she started the conversation, she asked me if I would drive her to the bus station. Okay? Now I'll tell you how fast the ego works. This is the lady with the MS. 21. So here's what happened. We just get through the circle. And she said, oh, the bus terminal's down here. Now, that's not the bus terminal she was talking about. Okay? She said, just drop me off here. And she'd get out on the side of the road. That's how quickly she wanted to get the F away from what I was saying. The last thing she wanted was to clear up those illnesses and diseases that she had. Isn't that crazy? Isn't that amazing? Okay? And so, this is what we're dealing with when the ego's in charge. But like Jamie said earlier, it's only in charge when you give it that power. That's it. Because it doesn't have any. It'll keep trying and keep trying and keep trying to have power over you and make your decisions for you. And they're all a bunch of bullshit. Okay? Now you finding that light and blowing that light up and spending that time for those of you that took the process, that divine focus of 10 minutes, 3 times a day. For me, as soon as I wake up, I don't even get out of bed. I got a window that I look out and I see the stars. Like, like where do I go? Okay? And yeah, I spend all this time, like 2 and 3 hours. Because I'm feeding my light of who I am. That's who I am. And I do everything I can not to be running around, getting this and doing that and this exercise, la, la, la. It's like, that's stillness. But at the same time, you know that 10 seconds. 10 seconds to turn away from whatever it is you're in. Turn away. Just literally turn away. And recall, like Jamie mentioned about Noah, recalling that time on Divinity Mountain when he was in his divinity. And he remembered that moment. Okay? Now, I straightened him up today when he called me and saying that, listen, bud, this keeps relapsing because you didn't get the first one. You didn't get the first one. Or you haven't surrendered. Those are the only 2 things. Okay? You haven't surrendered yet, bud. You haven't surrendered. And so that's what's going on with Jamie. I watched him. I was this close to him multiple times doing that. Doing that. And going back to the drinking or whatever. Or the women or the whatevers. Okay? And that's what happens. Now, I'm telling you, the key is to make a decision. Like there's no effing way anybody or anything can get me to do what the ego wants me to do. Nothing. Okay? Nothing. Because I have made a decision to keep this. And yes, there is something that I'm working on that the boys don't know about. Jamie had a taste of it on the island. And it's incredibly powerful. Incredibly powerful. Someday you will have it. Imagine that. Imagine you having that. Imagine what that's going to be like for your family, your body, your career. You can do effing anything. You don't have to be stuck in that job, 9 to 5, at 8 to 4, or whatever, counting pencils. Okay? No, take a risk. All 3 of us have taken big risks. big risks. You know, Jamie was in Vancouver, and when he was there, and he had set this up to work with these 5 women, and one of them was his mom. And so we went to my favorite spot, which was a beautiful place down in West Van, right in the ocean, waves flapping in, sitting on the big logs, Douglas fir logs. And after we went, you know, 3 of them went that way, and the lady that was with me, she came, and there was Jamie and his mom, and we went to a restaurant to have a bite to eat. And when we were chatting, Jamie said, Donn, I have I don't know if these are the exact words, I have a spare house in Cabo San Lucas. You want to come? Yeah, you're welcome. I never said a word. Never said a word. The next morning, I'm thinking, okay, wonder is this guy bullshitting? Okay. So I went and I called him. I said, Jamie, you mentioned about you had a spare house in Cabo San Lucas, and you invited me? He said, yeah. I said, you're on. Now that was September 2nd, 3rd, or 4th, somewhere in that vicinity. And my birthday is on September 22nd. And so he said, yeah. I said, okay, I'll call you right back. I called him back, I don't know, 15 minutes, half an hour, whatever, an hour later. Said, yeah, I'm landing on the 21st. And that was the start of a totally different track I was on. And we've been doing this in one form or another since that time. Was that 4 years ago? I don't know.
Yeah, that was 2020.
2020. Yeah, so 3.5 years ago. And lots of bumps in the road. The first one I hear is us walking across that bridge in Nicaragua or wherever it was. Guatemala. just the crazy adventures we've been on, and yet been able to do this wherever we went, in any kind of terrain or turmoil or weather or governments. Yeah. And this at the heights of the phony COVID. Okay? What?
C-word.
C-word, okay. Oh, yeah, C-word. Don't want to give it any power. And
It's censored the show.
oh, okay. Sorry, I retrieved that. My bad. Yeah. So, anyway, there's. I absolutely love being in the state of uncertainty, unknown, and unfamiliar. You never know. Because we never know anyway. But we get too much of the tactile 3D stuff around, we start getting comfortable. With, do this every day. Yeah, and I get into this rhythm of, I'm in a straitjacket and I don't even know it. Like an emotional straitjacket. Isn't that crazy? How we do that? But that's the ego, it's sneaky. Just does it little at a time, and then it just goes, yeah. That's how it does it. And so that's why it's important. Start soon, me. As soon as I open my eyes, boom. I'm in my divinity. I'm in my divine focus. Just boom, right there, right away. Yeah. But the only thing that takes me away is having to go to the bathroom. That's it. Yep. And And that neurocellular muscle gets stronger and stronger and stronger and stronger. It's not growing, it's strengthening. Because you haven't been using it. You haven't used it since you were in the womb. Come on. Okay? And you get it stronger and stronger and stronger. And every time that you do a challenge and something happens, like Tim and Shannon with the teenagers, and them testing you. Oh, I was just testing you, Mom. Okay? Hey, they will do that, consciously or subconsciously. In this case, it's conscious. Most of the time, up until you did something, it was unconscious. Yeah, but they're waking up. Isn't that exciting? Isn't that exciting? And to find out how you can be the doctor. Yeah.
Speaking of doctors, Amy just put in the chat, my friend has stage 4 cancer. If I bring her, is the group call or a one-on-one better?
That's pretty serious. And the one-on-one is a must on the stage 4. But I will tell you the story that I mentioned in my thing. I didn't get all clear with the guy I met in the garbage room. Okay? So he had stage 4 cancer. That's what he had. And the thing about whether it's in a group or, you know, we're getting surprised every time. Like Gilbert, I don't know what I think he read something, and the symptoms left.
He was just on live stream, so he didn't go through the actual process, but just heard what we were talking about on these.
Right. So that's what can happen. But this, I met like I was walking out like I was in Vancouver, and the high rise, and it was like the garbage room was as clean as a hospital, and I had just finished taking the garbage out, you know, paper here, cans here, bottles here, garbage here, or whatever. I'm walking out, and here's this guy on the other side. His name's Al. Okay? I said, holy shit, man, you don't look too good. What's going on? He said, I got prostate cancer. Had it for 16 months. They burnt all my stomach wall and intestines. I don't know how long I have to live. Those were his words. I said, don't listen to that bullshit. Can I ask you a few questions? And I just went brrrr with the questions. Okay? When we're finished, 15 minutes later, I shut the door. He walked into the garbage room and I walked out. All I knew was his name was Al Valjanik. That's all I knew. And 3 weeks later, he gives me a call. He says, Donn, this is Al Valjanik. I met you in the garbage room 3 weeks ago. Yeah. I just had x-rays. I don't have any cancer. Okay? That's how effing powerful we are. What I'm saying is, with those kind of serious things, it's almost a must for a one-on-one. Okay? Just from my experience. You can't, it's too deadly to miss things. You need to, you know, like I pull things apart. I pull it apart. And yes, it's getting really, 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 really easy for me to pull things apart. And like Noah, you know, the very first line in the very first paragraph, there was one word in the first line, which had about 10 words. And that one word I knew his whole, what do you call it? Questionnaire answers. I knew them all. So you can't do that in a group, that's all.
Amy just clarified, can it be on Zoom or it has to be in person?
Depending on how open, there's factors. There's factors. And how open and receptive and those kind of things. And normally I would say, actually, there was a lady coming in from Boston. She was coming in from Boston. She hadn't been out of bed other than to go downstairs to the fridge to get something to eat or drink for 4 months. I think it was 4 months. And so she was flying in because I did a group that had cancer on November 20th, 2019. I did 10. And she was coming in from Boston. And she had all the plans and everything. She had called me that next morning. And she called me that night, and her family talked her out of it. Said it was weird. It was crazy. And she died a month later. So, yeah, those stories are hard to deal with. When you have to deal with family, you have to deal with this, and you have to deal with that. And so, yes, all I'm saying is there's kind of like this screen on this light here. There's many, many pieces. And I will say that the one that will help, is it a he or she? I forget what you said.
Amy is she.
She. It's important to do like a thorough. If she's going to take it, it needs to be really thorough, the questionnaire, the answers, because that just pulls out. It's like a jigsaw puzzle, and you're putting together all these pieces that don't fit. Okay, that's what's going on. And
She has young kids too.
don't tell me these things.
Amy, the best place to send her right now is transformwithdonn.com, and she can fill out a little application, just do a phone call, and they can figure out the details from there. What age is she, Amy? 44.
What's her name was 45 there the other night.
Tiffany.
Overnight. So just know that anything's possible. No guarantees. Don't even think about a guarantee. Okay? But there's so many factors. And especially with kids, to do whatever is possible to make it work. Yeah. Anyway. So, there we have it.
Shannon, you raise your hand.
Yeah, go ahead, Shannon.
Yes, it's about a medical. So we have several of those miracles, and a couple since we started with you guys on the divinity. I've been needing surgery and I've been putting it off, and I had a C-section with the girls and it didn't go well. And 16 years. And I've already had one surgery. They had to remove my uterus and one ovary and scar tissue, and it just kind of all attached. Well, the other night when we went through your birthday, Jamie, Tim and I did the process again, and that's where it brought me to the birth and being in the womb and stuff. And during the night, I had such horrible pain below, and it was like a huge ball. I could feel it. And I'm like, I'm gonna have to go to ER. The surgery needs to happen right now. Like, I am in so much pain. And I stopped myself and I thought, this to remove from my body without needing the surgery and all the other problems that it creates or has created for me. And I was just about ready to wake Tim up, and I started doing my IAMDIVINITY, and I was just praying over that and speaking those things and going through, and not kidding you, within 5 minutes, that big ball was gone, and I can actually sit. I can do the stretches that I haven't been able to do in years. The ball is gone from my stomach area. And so I want to encourage Amy with her friend, like, we do have that possibility of releasing that and surrendering that. And I truly believe in the word surrender and release. So I just wanted to share that. And I'm so sorry, Amy, that your friend is going through that. We've lost many family and friends to cancer the last 3 years. And so I feel for all of you involved.
Wow.
Thank you very much. That's unbelievably powerful, that story, what you just said.
Yeah, I'm so thankful to be pain-free.
Yeah, that's amazing. And it's literally, that's the power that we've been given. And what's happening is we're not using our power. And part of this has to do with, the divine creator trying to get us to stand in our power. And we end up attracting these things that reduce it. But yet it's like, now that we know, wow, is it possible I created this? Did I possibly do that? Well, if I did, guess what? I can uncreate it. Doesn't that make sense mathematically? If I create something, I can uncreate it.
Mm-hmm. And I think also, too, Donn, to go with what you're saying, is the doctor, when they did the first surgery, she was like, you're going to have to be back within probably 5-7 years to get the rest of your hysterectomy done, and we'll clean up more scar tissue that, was created. And so you have that in your mind, right? And then you start believing that and planning it. And okay, my 5 years is here. Okay, I'm at my 7-year mark now. And just accept, like, that's what it is, right? Like, you just accept that.
Nocebo. That's what that is. Nocebo. I'm going to give you a negative message for the negativity to happen. That's nocebo. So you might want to look at
That's interesting you use that word, because I was diagnosed 3 years ago during the pandemic with SIBO. I don't know if you've heard of that before, but and I ended up with tapeworms, and it caused havoc on my body, and I almost died and couldn't talk. They completely took over my body, and the doctors kept missing it, and I would be in the hospital, and I'm like, no, like, I'm dying. I'm trying to write on paper. I'm too weak. I can't walk. And then brought back to, I have that power. I went through Bible college. I know what I was taught. I know the power that we have. And then just started releasing and praying, and all that stuff just released for my body. And so I'm so thankful for you and just bringing us back to that and what reality and, you know, getting rid of our ego. You guys have been such a huge blessing.
Stop you right there for a sec.
Yep.
Okay, we're not going to get rid of the ego. We're going to fill ourselves with light.
Yes.
There's a major difference. The getting rid of the ego is the one that, what you were just talking about your friend and whatever. Okay? The nocebo from the doctor. That's that. I am going to flood myself with pure divine light.
Amen.
And no attention whatsoever to the ego.
Yep.
Clear?
Yes, thank you.
You're welcome. That's what we're doing. And the more we spend time in our divine focus, no matter what's going on outside of ourselves, it's because we put something more important in front of our divinity. And if we hold that divine light, and this is what Jamie did. He had his incarnation, and he recognized that he was putting the money ahead of the divinity. And it wasn't until he shifted that things started to take off. Okay? Nothing can be more important than your divinity. It's that simple. And then when we have it, then we can use it for things that are okay. At least question a doctor. I'm not downplaying doctors. It's that lots of times they don't have the tools. They don't have the knowing about how these things get created. They weren't taught that. Whatever it is. And lots of times you may need a doctor's assistance to assist you. Okay? But right now you just did something. You did something. You reversed something on your own. That's how powerful we are. That's how powerful we are. Instead of, like your body weight or whatever, you got you need to get this done and with that done. There was he was the he was the Chief something officer of the second largest company in the world. I had a major contract with them. And he went to see the doctor, and the doctor said, well, bud, your blood pressure is skyrocketing. If you don't do something in the next 3 weeks, there's a 90% chance you will be dead. Okay, that's what he told him. And his buddy in the same company just finished the process. They had flown out to Vancouver from Toronto. They just finished the process. He just finished it. He had this amazing, and right off the bat, while he was standing in front of me, he called his buddy. And his buddy was in Asia or whatever, whatever. He said, "You got to see this guy that does this crazy stuff. He's in Whistler, in a chalet." And so we talked, and he dropped in on his way back to Toronto. He did the process. Now listen to this, how crazy it is. 3 weeks later, he goes to the doctor to get everything checked. The doctor said, "What in the hell happened to you? You're in the shape of an NFL football player." Jeez. The blood pressure's gone, like everything. And what was it? 8 months later, he lost the 100 pounds he was overweight on. How's that? Okay? So that's, yes, it grows in increments, but we can get rid of it like that. Like that. And we have seen it. We've seen it over and over. And I'm forcing you to stand in your power. Not the pushing, shoving, I'm going to beat you. That's not what it is. It's like this power of our light that can do everything and anything. Okay? So there you have it.
So there you have it.
So there you have it.
So do we have any other questions for Donn before we wrap this up? No. Okay, so we are working on some stuff. Last couple of things. Got the 2 developers talking to each other, so we will be having our system ready to launch here soon. We'll keep you guys posted. Thank you for your patience. Yeah, we're excited. I mean, things are taking off. We got Donn in the house at the IAMDIVINITY Studios. So you'll catch us tomorrow at 10 a.m. Eastern, 11 p.m. Philippines time.
By the way, Donn committed to be in Davao here 5 days a week now.
Yeah, so you'll be
Yesterday.
seeing a lot more of Donn every night, or at least 5 nights out of the 7. Or
I was thinking of shifting it. You guys be at 11 at night, and we're at 11, 10 in the day.
I mean, that'd be a great idea.
Week on, the week off. I have somebody in my corner already.
But yeah, we're really excited to continue to bring you guys some fire. If you guys are excited, once again, don't forget that we are going to be having our first IAMDIVINITY event here in the Philippines. We should actually just lock that in ASAP, because I know some people were talking about getting the tickets and whatnot. So we should definitely.
We should just do it in March.
You gonna do it in March?
Yeah.
That's like in 2 weeks.
Like a month.
It's like February.
It can be the end of March to give you a little extra week there, bud.
I mean, I'm good. We can do it tomorrow. We'll lock it in. We'll talk about it, and we'll get back to you guys in the next 24, 48 hours. But yes, super exciting stuff. Looking forward to be with you tomorrow night for us, tomorrow morning for you guys. Any last words? What is?
Woo!
Oh. Woo! All right. We love you guys. We'll see you tomorrow. I am divine, and so are you.